بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah, we're going to get right into the second video of exercising Quranic reading, recitation, the unity of our ummah, and according to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed it, how He has prescribed it. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over certain letters that are maqtu' or mawsul. These are continuing letters and the cut-off letters in the sentences that were written, or the sentences that were placed here. So in the first sentence, we have the letter Ayn. This letter Ayn, very important to understand its forms. The Ayn is naturally like that when it's alone. At the beginning of the word, it looks like this. In the middle of the word is probably what everybody has issues with. Students who are listening in, who know themselves, that's what they look at, and they confuse it. They confuse the letter Ayn. So we're not going to do too much more with the Ayn, other than make sure that everybody knows that this is how it looks, because it's a continued letter. It's a letter that continues to thrive. The Waw is a maqtu' letter. That letter cuts off. So it's one of these letters right down here. This letter is a cut-off letter. So we know this is not the end of the word. We go to the Dal. The Dal is also a cut-off letter. But when we get to the Ba is a different story. The Ba is a continued letter. The Ba looks like that when it's alone, but at the beginning, it looks like this, just like we have it up here. The middle is just a dot on the bottom. This is a Ba. At the end of the word, the Ba looks like this. So we have to know these letters, what they look like when they are on their own, and in the beginning of the word, the middle of the word, the end of the word. Biggest thing for many is this letter Lam. Lam, on the other hand, if we trace Lam, we bring Lam down here. Lam would look like this when it's on its own, but then at the beginning of the word it looks like that. In the middle, it looks like that, just like we have it here. That's what Lam looks like in the middle. At the end, compared to Alif, Lam would look like this at the end of the word. This is how Lam would look at the end of the word compared to Alif. People tend to confuse Lam and Alif a lot, and this brings a lot of confusion because we don't know our letters, how they look. Now, this letter here, Mim, is very much favored. This Mim, this right here, it favors the Ha. Very important comparison. One needs to understand that this Mim at the beginning of the word is just like it is here. This is how it looks at the beginning of the word. In the middle of the word is probably where people really get twisted. This is what it looks like in the middle of the word. People confuse it right away with a Ha. See, the O looks like the same. At the end of the word, this is how Mim looks. So, the Ha, on the other hand, which is all the way up here, this is how it looks at the end. At the beginning of the word, a Ha would look like this, similar to that. In the middle of the word, similar to this. At the end of the word is exactly what we have up here. This is how it looks at the end of the word. These letters are very important to realize and recognize. The alif is a cut-off letter. So we talked about that yesterday. Chances are we'll get into it more as the exercises go on. But now we have the lam. We talked about the lam. The next letter, which is the letter sheen. This letter sheen. How does sheen look at the beginning of the word or on its own? Sheen looks like this. Sheen at the beginning of the word is going to look like that. 3 dots, which is the same in the middle of the word. Make sure you have your 3 teeth. And then at the end of the word, sheen is going to look like that. So you have to know the forms. People confuse seen and sheen. People tend to confuse the letter noon. This letter right here, noon, and dhal. This letter noon is not a dhal. Dhal, this right here cuts off. Noon does not cut off. So how does noon look? Noon on its own look like this. Everybody should know. They're letters. As we said, the beginning, the noon looks like that. And in the middle, noon looks like this. Again, do not confuse it with dhal because dhal cuts off. Noon continues. At the end of the word, noon looks like this. So we have to know these letters. You have more continued letters, way more continued letters than you have cut-off letters. You have 3 times the amount of continued letters. So if you know that these continued letters, what they look like in the middle, the beginning, you don't confuse them. What they look like at the end, then that's much more than we can require at this time. But all these letters that continue, we have to know what they look like at each instance that they show up in a word. Okay. So next we have another letter,